everyone, it's Tenitzu, and today we'll be getting into a collab with Mr. Spiraling, whose channel you will find linked in the description, but without further ado, let's just get straight into part 1. In the Land of Water, soon after a boy was born to two unknown Yuki parents fled the Land of Water with their child, that of course being Minato, but they sadly had to leave their only daughter behind. As the years passed, Minato was never allowed to use his Kekkei Genkai, as he would be murdered/exiled, but as he never did, he was able to still become the Hokage. But before that, in the Third Great Ninja War, he was able to meet his sister in battle, but because of his quick wit and in general them looking pretty alike, noticed it was his sister and spared her life, even visiting her sometimes in the Land of Waves. But when he noticed she was no longer where she used to be, he had suspicions of her death, but he got his mind of it by thinking she might have just been able to flee to some other place, as she was often speaking about doing so. So he was able to get his mind off of it. Now we'll skip to Naruto's birth, as that is the same as in the original, just that Minato had finally made use of his Kekkei Genkai by holding the Nine Tails in place, but in the end he still perished. Naruto's childhood was also similar to the original, just that he took a bit more care of himself than the original, not just surviving off of cheap instant ramen. As Naruto still had half of the Nine Tails inside of him, his chakra control was still pretty garbage, making him fail the Genin exams because of his almost laughable attempt at the clone jutsu, so he was pretty depressed as he left the examination room. But as suddenly, someone tapped him on the shoulder. "Hello there, Naruto," the man with the white hair told the boy with a smile. "Mizuki-sensei? What are you doing here?" Naruto asked in surprise, and Mizuki began to explain about everything. How Iruka didn't dislike the boy and just wanted him to become a strong ninja, and all about the Scroll of Sealing, and how you would be able to graduate if you learned a jutsu from it. Of course, Naruto was really happy about this and instantly began planning to steal the scroll. As Naruto invaded the third Hokage's mansion, he was still able to sneak his way in, but at the entrance to the room, he actually met the third Hokage and was a bit shocked, but he was able to beat him using the legendary, the unbeatable, sexy jutsu, which made the third's nose look like a blood fountain as he passed out, and Naruto was able to steal the scroll. Now, in a very deep part of the forest, Naruto was slightly disappointed by the first jutsu he saw on the list, that being the multi-shadow clone jutsu, as he thought it would just be the same as the normal one, but he was surprised to see that he had an almost natural affinity toward the jutsu, and he was able to learn it before Iruka walked to him scolding him. "Naruto, this prank was too far." But Naruto just looked around in happiness. "Oh, hey Iruka, I did it, I got the scroll," he said smiling, and Iruka nodded. "Yeah, I see that, Naruto. But this is a serious crime, you understand?" Now Naruto was confused. "What do you mean? Mizuki-sensei told me that if I learned one jutsu from the scroll, I'd be able to graduate." Iruka was now confused. Mizuki had told him about the scroll? No, that's impossible. That'd be treason of the highest degree against the village. He would never have done that, right? But before he could finish his thoughts, a gigantic shuriken flew at him, and he was able to barely dodge it. "Better than I thought, Iruka," he said, almost spitting with fury, as he then started talking to Naruto. "Give me the scroll, Naruto," Iruka shouted. "No! Don't give it to him!" But Mizuki just continued. "He's lying to you, like he always does. Iruka doesn't care for you. He hates you, because of one simple reason." "Mizuki, no!" But Mizuki just continued, laughing almost. "Because you have the nine-tailed beast sealed inside of you." Mizuki proceeded to laugh in an almost maniacal way as he suddenly threw another shuriken at Naruto, but before Iruka could protect him, Naruto almost casually flung his arm up, and to everyone's, even Naruto's, surprise, an ice wall blocked the shuriken, and Naruto's surprised face went to one of glee as he smirked. "I might have the nine-tailed beast inside of me." His smirk grew wider. "But Iruka is still like my older brother," and he jumped at Mizuki and punched him. But it wasn't like the only one who punched him was Naruto, but the ice wall almost followed him all the way from the ground to Mizuki's face, and it did some pretty bad damage. As suddenly Naruto performed the multi-shadow clone jutsu and beat the absolute shit out of Mizuki, leaving a near-death Mizuki there, then proceeding to graduate as Iruka congratulated him. "Whilst you aren't my real family, you're still the best little brother I could have asked for." And then they hugged a little as they then went out to buy some ramen. The next day, Team 7 was still chosen like the original, and they began to introduce themselves, after Kakashi finally showed up. So they went to the roof, and Kakashi began explaining what they were doing. Now at first, you'll be introducing yourselves. Names, likes, dislikes, and future goals. and then introduced himself as well after the request of Naruto. Then they moved on to the first person, that being Sakura. I'm Sakura Haruno. My likes, she blushed looking at Sasuke. My dislikes, she did not at all blush as she looked over at Naruto. My future goals, to marry someone. Sakura blushed and they moved on to Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain somebody. Kakashi was a bit surprised at this kid's rather interesting dream, but then moved on to Naruto. Your turn. And Naruto instantly started. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like instant ramen in a cup, and I really like the ramen Iruka sensei got me at Ichiraka Noodle Shop. But I hate the 3 minutes you have to wait after you pour the water into the ramen cup. My hobby is eating different kinds of ramen and comparing them, and my future dream is to be the greatest Hokage. Then the whole village will stop disrespecting me and start treating me like I'm somebody important. Kakashi nodded and then began, "You're all boring. Meet me at 8 a.m. tomorrow in the fields." He told them quite plainly. They all looked a little shocked at what Kakashi told them. They weren't boring, but they moved on, and all met on the field the next day, and, of course, Kakashi was late as always. But that was of no matter, except that they were all hungry as hell. But he didn't take notice and just explained everything about the exam that they were about to do. Everyone nodded as he finished explaining about the belt test, so he nodded as well and said, "Alright, 3, 2, 1, go!" And everyone, except for Naruto, disappeared. Kakashi thought the young boy was rather stupid, but suddenly Naruto jumped toward him, and Kakashi didn't think much of it, just punching the boy in the stomach, and the boy disappeared. What? Suddenly Naruto jumped out at him again, and Kakashi hit him again, but he poofed once more? Ah, this kid wasn't that stupid after all. Suddenly, 250 clones all jumped out at Kakashi, all of them forming the same attack. Wind style, Gale Palm! Kakashi was surprised and shocked at the same time, as he was flung to the ground, completely stopping him from moving, as two Naruto clones moved in to get the belts, and he, alone, was able to defeat himself, a Jonin, with such ease. Naruto wasn't smart at all, but his battle knowledge was almost unparalleled at his age. And now Sakura and Sasuke moved in as well, as Naruto threw a belt to Sasuke and he caught it. Sakura stretched out her hand as well, and looked awaiting at Naruto. "Come on, give that one to me." She looked at the belt in Naruto's hand, but he just said, "That'd be breaking the rules. And even if it wasn't, you always hated me. Why would I give it to you?" Sakura was surprised. "You! How dare you say that?" And she began to fake cry, but Kakashi stood up and talked to them both. "Whilst you all did pass, you need to learn that in the shinobi world, those who break the rules are scum." He looked at Naruto, who rubbed his neck a little, as he did give Sasuke one of the belts, but then he continued. "But those who abandon their friends and don't work together are worse than scum." He looked at Sakura, who stopped fake crying and apologized as well, so Naruto and Sakura shook hands, making up for now. For now, Naruto's story was quite similar to the original, as they still did get a massive amount of completely uninteresting missions, and they very much slowly started to get bored of them, until finally complaining, getting the Land of Waves mission, then starting their trip. In the trip, everything went seemingly smoothly, until the two demon brothers jumped out from the pool and attempted to assassinate Kakashi, and were seemingly successful, pissing off Naruto, and he jumped toward them with a fist covered in ice, as he punched one of them, completely knocking them out, while Sasuke took care of the other one, as they continued their mission. As Kakashi reappeared, as he was just testing their capabilities. The fight with Sabata also went the same as in the original, as in many ways at the start, Naruto having ice release doesn't change too much, so we'll skip ahead to the fight against Haku. Naruto was overwhelmed by Haku's speed as he was going through the mirrors, but he was just barely able to handle it. It was quite interesting though. Haku had ice release too? Suddenly, Haku flung a ton of needles at Naruto, and Sasuke jumped in front of it, seemingly out of instinct, and passed out, but to Naruto it seemed like he died, and Naruto began to get angry. Really angry. Suddenly, Naruto's power jumped as an orange chakra enveloped him, and he flew at Haku, punching him so hard that his mask broke, and his nose was broken as well. And Naruto was about to punch him again, but then he realized who this was. Haku? He asked him, confused. He had met this boy previously in the flower bed, but Haku just smiled, seemingly accepting his death. but then he heard the sound of lightning and turned around to see Zabuza about to get pierced by the Chidori. And he looked at Naruto and gave him one last smile. I was glad to finally meet you, my cousin. Thank you for being my last opponent. Naruto shouted, Haku, no! Naruto shouted as he saw the Chidori going right through Haku's chest, and he began to run toward her. But Haku shakily raised her hand, gave him a weak smile, then died, with the Chidori slowly releasing her body as Kakashi withdrew his hand, and she fell to the ground. Naruto began to shake. Zabuza was silent as he jumped back, Kakashi following right on his tail, but he seemed to be looking for someone. There, Gato appeared on the bridge with his men, and kicked Haku with his foot. He's really dead, huh? A tool to the very end. He and his men laughed, and Zabuza unknowingly to anyone grimaced. You bastard! What do you think you're doing to my cousin? The bridge began to shake with Naruto's power, and he cried out in pain as a mass of angry orange chakra enveloped the young boy. Naruto was furious about this and ran toward Gakuto, but Kakashi stopped him, although just barely. Then Naruto shouted, You say something too! I shouted at Zabuza. She was your comrade, right? To which Zabuza coldly replied, Shut up, punk. Haku's already dead. But weren't you with Haku for a long time? Naruto said with anger in every word. As God used me, I was simply using Haku. What we shinobi are tools. What I wanted were her skills, and not Haku herself. I have no regrets. Zabuza said, and Naruto paused until replying. Do you... do you really mean that? Kakashi tried to tell Naruto to stop, and how they did not need to fight Zabuza anymore, but Naruto brushed him off. Shut up! My enemy is still this one. He pointed at Zabuza, breathing heavily, and then went on. She really liked you. She liked you that much. Even so, you don't feel anything at all? You really, honestly, don't feel anything at all. When a person becomes as strong as you, does that person really behave like you? She threw his life away for you. She didn't even fulfill her dreams yet. And yet, to die as a tool, that's too painful. Zabuza passed, but teardrops were falling from his eyes. Kid, don't say anymore. Haku was. She wasn't just thinking of me. She was feeling pain inside for you, while she battled you guys too. I know. She was too kind. I'm glad we could fight with you at the end. He removed the bandages covering his mouth, then asked, Kid, throw me that kunai knife. And Naruto complied, but he wasn't going to let Zabuza take out this man alone. As suddenly, a mass of ice spikes were formed as Naruto ran toward Gato and his men as he killed everyone with the help of Zabuza, and together with Zabuza stabbed Gato right in the heart and threw him into the ocean below. Naruto even spat on his body as he was disgusted at this man having even been alive. After killing Gato together with Naruto, Zabuza walked back sluggishly as he fell on the ground next to Haku, his last wish to go to the same place as her. Then Zabuza perished. The bridge was still shaking, as suddenly even more of the orange chakra enveloped him as ice spikes formed all around him, and he jumped at Kakashi. He didn't feel any ill intent toward him, of course, but he just wanted to take his anger out on something. But Sakura tried to push him away, only to be met with a slap from Naruto, getting thrown to the ground, knocking her out. But as Naruto flew toward Kakashi, he was caught by the Jonin and embraced. I know what it feels like to lose someone. Kakashi told the boy and patted him on the back as Naruto's orange chakra disappeared slowly, and his eyes went from angry, slitted to their usual blue as they closed with tears slowly forming as the boy passed out. I hope you all enjoyed this what if. Be sure to check out part 2. If you did, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But without further taking up your time, this was Tenitzu, and I am out.